I really feel like fixing something today, but I also don't want to start a project that's going to take me 2 weeks to finish. I've started a couple of projects already, and now I'm just waiting on parts from here in the US, from the UK, from China. So I kind of want to work on a known quantity. And I was rummaging through my backlog. I found this N64, and I wonder what is wrong with it. Reads game controller 1 broken. I got this guy from a large console lot on eBay, and it was 8 systems for $240 shipped. So the way I factored it, it was about $30 per console. And there was a bunch of other stuff in there, but there were some really cool systems like a Sega CD, a TurboGrafx, this N64, and 30 bucks a console. I'll take that gamble any day. This guy arrived as is, no accessories, but I have everything I need to hook up an N64. So let me go get my accessories for it, and we'll hook this guy up and test it out. All right, we have power, video, a couple of controllers, and we have an expansion pack. Now, for those of you that may not know, an N64 will not display any video without either an expansion pack or a jumper pack. So anytime you come across a faulty N64 without a jumper pack or an expansion pack, that's the first thing that you want to pop in there. I'm all hooked up here. We'll try and get some video capture. I have player 1, player 2. Let's grab a game. All right, let's hit record and turn this guy on. See a red light? There are no controllers connected. Well, that was short and sweet. So is it all 4 controllers or just the player 1? What happens if we try and turn it on like this? Okay, so it's not recognizing the controllers. I don't know if it's just a player 1 issue or if all 4 aren't working, but it's definitely not happy getting started up without a working controller. Alrighty then, let's take a look inside, see what we find. These plastic feet should just come off. And let's pop that top cover off. Nice. First impressions, not very good. There are a lot of screws in here that are not fastened all the way down. Someone has clearly opened this and didn't even bother putting it back together. So I hope all the screws are in the right place, because this system has a lot of mismatched screw sizes. There's also quite a bit of rust around this switch that might not necessarily be a problem. Well, you never know what you're going to get with this stuff. I just hope that all the screws are here and they haven't been swapped around in a way where they might have done some permanent damage to the board. But I guess we will find out. So far, so good. We just need to get these last 2 little screws and we should be able to extract the motherboard from the bottom case. Is it ready to come out? I lied. 1 more screw down here. And now it should come out. Okay. Let's put this aside. Now, if you just wanted access to the bottom of the board, you don't really need to take this apart any further, but I might come back and do that anyway, just to inspect what it looks like underneath. Let's take a look at the back first. All right, let's examine these controller ports. Well, this is player 1 right here. And I really thought this was just going to be a case of some broken or loose solder joints, but I don't think that's our issue. Yeah, those solder joints look fine. All right, let's expose the top side of the board as well. This is unfortunately not a quick and easy one. I just realized too, there's supposed to be a metal grounding shield here that is missing. Oh boy. Let's keep going. Get this guy out of here. These 2 screws that are already pretty much undone. Okay. And the last 10 screws on the heat spreader. That is all the screws. Just see if we spot anything obvious. This board's just in pretty rough shape overall. I don't know if this is just years of caked on dirt or if some moisture got in here, but there are definitely signs of rust and oxidation. Kind of surprised this thing even turned on. This heatsink just plopped off. Yeah, these aren't on here very well at all. All right, I think we have to clean the board. I'm gonna get some 99% IPA and contact cleaner and give this guy a thorough cleaning. There's just very obvious signs of corrosion all over this board. These pins do not look healthy at all. So we might just have a broken trace somewhere. I'm hoping cleaning this up and maybe reflowing some of these joints might resolve our issue. All right, let's start with some IPA on the back of the board. The back is looking really good. Let's do the other side. Definitely have to be a little bit more gentle here around all these raised components. And I guess we should also remove the cartridge connector. This can actually be removed. Just need to do it gently. Okay, we'll clean this really thoroughly as well. All right, the board is looking a little bit better. Now let's go in with the contact cleaner. Let's do the cart connector and then we'll give this guy another test. Now this guy only goes back in one way, so you'll notice there's a gap here and it would not line up properly the other way around. All right, I would like to test this again. Not too optimistic anything's going to change, but I want to make sure I haven't made it any worse before we continue. All right, guys, let's plug this guy in. Hit record and turn it on. No controllers. Okay. Well, at least we haven't made it worse. Now that might have seemed like overkill with the alcohol and the contact cleaner, but you have to establish a baseline, and all it would take is one contact not making a connection for the system to not power up, or in this case, not detect the controllers. Where do we go from here? System's powering on, it's detecting the expansion pack, it's reading the cart, it's just not detecting any controllers. And this controller board is fairly simple. I mean, it's like 3 pins per controller. It is possible that these pins are just so corroded that they're literally not making any contact. We can even see some corrosion right there. It's like a greenish blue. How can I test that though? I might have to desolder the controller port to take a better look underneath and around it, but I'm just wondering if there's a way that I could polish up those internal pins. They really don't look very good. Even after using the contact cleaner, these pins just look very dull and they're like a green-blue color. So I'm just kind of worried about going down a rabbit hole when it's something much more simple, and I don't feel good about the pins looking like that. I am going to go look for some sandpaper and I will be back. All right, I grabbed a pad of 220. It's the finest grit that I have, and we're about to do some hillbilly engineering. I want to try and get this rolled in a cylinder where the sandpaper is on the inside. That is easier said than done. I'm trying to get this circle as tight as I can get it. Yes, that's what I want to hear. Do you guys remember this guy? Some of you will. All right, let's do it. Well, they look a little bit less green. Yeah, they're definitely shiny. All right, I'm gonna hook it up and try it and see what we get. All right, let's hook this guy back up. Our controller, expansion pack, our cartridge, power. And on. Are you serious? Wow! It's actually working. I can't believe it. I did not think that was gonna work. I wanna try all 4 ports and make sure they all work. All right, we have 4 controllers connected. Card's still recording. Let me quickly start a 4-player game. All right, player 3 is dead. We got no player 3. Oh, yes we do. All right, player 3 is intermittent. Okay. So at least we figured out the issue. Oxidized or corroded contact on the cartridge port connector. I think this console has either been in contact with water or it was stored in an area that was very damp and there was a lot of moisture, just judging by the surface rust on the board and the corroded contacts on the controller port pins. I do think this board can be salvaged. I don't have another donor board to just transplant fresh controller ports, and there's only 3 pins per controller. They're pretty big. I think that if I just scuff them down a little bit, they're gonna make contact just fine. I have another idea, which I think is gonna work a little bit better. I'm going to try using my fiberglass pen. Back to the drill, either a great idea or a really dumb idea. Oh, that's working really well. All right, let me do that for all of them then. Can you guys tell the difference between these 2, which I've done, and these 2, which I haven't? Quite the difference, right? So compare port 2 to port 3. And I can't stress enough, keep this crap away from your skin. It itches like crazy. All right guys, I think we're done here. Let me just vacuum this crap up and we'll take a closer look. Looking good. Those honestly look better than my working N64 back there. I think this board's gonna end up working fine, and I kind of just want to clean the case up just to get the system looking as good as we can. Let's just pop off these buttons and dump it in the sink. Before we wash this one piece right here, it will need a little bit of rust remover. Either that or you just sand it down, but I'm just gonna treat it with some rust remover and then we'll throw it in the sink with everything else. Everything is nice and clean. It's had a chance to dry, so let's go ahead and put this thing back together. Now, unless you're changing the thermal pads on the heat sinks, I just like to take a clean brush and just brush off any debris. And to get the best alignment possible, we can loosely screw them into the heat spreader before we clamp everything down. Since we're not replacing the thermal pads, we can pay attention to the impressions left on the pads, match those up with the impressions on the chip, to make sure that the heat sinks go back down the same way that they came off. The alignment's actually not too bad, but I'll just take a couple of spudgers and make sure that the heat sinks are properly lined up. Now for the heat spreader itself, and let's get this guy clamped down. Let's flip the board over. The bottom shield cleaned up really well. I did go back in and scuff it with some sandpaper, but most importantly, the rust has been neutralized. So even though there are some unpleasant markings where the rust used to be, it's completely rust free. We are on the home stretch. Let's grab the bottom case. We'll go ahead and pop on the multi-out bracket and then slide the board back in. We'll fasten everything back down, being very mindful of all the different screw sizes. Time for the top case. And here she is, a neglected N64 with faulty controller ports. The pins have been completely resurfaced and they're making very good contact. The rest of the system cleaned up really well and it can be enjoyed for many years to come. One final test for the camera. On the player selection screen, all the joysticks are working and we have no disconnects. And that is that. If I had one takeaway to leave you guys with, it would be that it's not always about soldering when it comes to working on these older consoles. Oftentimes it is, but it's really about fault finding. And in this particular case, we had a neglected N64 with some heavy signs of corrosion and oxidation, perhaps from poor storage in an attic or a damp basement or something like that. System's working great right now. And these systems really are resilient. With a little bit of love and attention, you can get them pretty much looking and working like new. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I will see you again soon. Take care.